Uh, you know what? What of course? I mean, this is so well known; it barely even requires any saying. But of course, we know that the Clinton machine used the most disingenuous, most base identity politics to try to smear Bernie and his supporters. And now, a lot of those people in New York, of course, have the opportunity to vote for a woman governor of New York City, of New York State, rather, who would replace a guy with multiple corruption allegations swirling around him and his administration, connections to lobbyists, a guy who's governed at the behest of real estate and charter schools, a right-wing, third-way Democrat, fusion of the worst of all worlds. He's a corporatist with sort of a cronyist Democratic machine approach to governing, and Cynthia Nixon's a legit progressive. But shockingly, a lot of those same people who made those really disingenuous arguments about those of us who supported Bernie will be voting for Andrew Cuomo, where those of us who backed Bernie and actually care about things like people having health care and corporations not owning this country will be a hashtag with her when we head to the polls this Thursday and vote for Cynthia Nixon for governor, as well as certainly in my case, and I think everybody here is Zephyr Teachout for attorney general. There was an incredible flyer put out by the state Democratic Party of New York. This is actually a pretty incredible intervention, where they said, and it's really blurry here for some reason, with anti-Semitism and bigotry on the rise, we can't take action. We can't take a chance. I can't even read this second part. With Cynthia Nixon, who won't stand strong for our Jewish communities. Cynthia Nixon is against yeshivas, supports BDS, racist and xenophobic campaign to boycott Israel, and is silent on anti-Semitism. I don't know what they mean by doesn't support yeshivas. She might be somebody who is concerned at how some religious schools in New York City operate using federal funds in ways that have been found to be illegal. That might be a legitimate question, particularly in certain areas where there's been very credible and documented cases of child abuse in some of those communities. Cynthia Nixon, I don't believe, supports BDS. I think what she did was oppose a genuine free speech silencing bill that went through the New York legislature with the support of Andrew Cuomo, that if a business chose in the privacy of its own business to participate in a form of boycott against the state of Israel because of its apartheid, and make no mistake, they are apartheid policies, that the state would not do business with those businesses, and an incredible infringement on free speech rights, an actual infringement on free speech rights, not something like a protest at a college campus, which is what people usually mean when they talk about free speech. Go ahead, Matt.
And that was sent out by the New York State Democratic Committee. Liz Smith, who identifies herself as a co-founder for 50 State Communications, Dem communicator, former rapid response for Obama, O'Malley's deputy campaign manager, says Governor Cuomo didn't approve or have knowledge of the mailer in question. He disagrees with the language in it, believes it is inappropriate, and urges voters to focus on the real issues of this race. Now, friend of the show, Alex Perrine, comments on that. In Mario's campaigns, which Andrew worked on, the, quote, vote for Cuomo, not the homo signs similarly appeared one day, as if by magic, along Queens Boulevard. No one in the campaign could figure out who was responsible. Weird.
They did it again?
There's a lot of
That was the original.
That was the original
time.
Okay.
And that was also the original accusation that was a campaign between Mario Cuomo and Ed Koch. Ed Koch, pretty universally known to be a closeted gay politician. And it was, and it's also, I mean, the reporting is not only that it was from Cuomo's campaign, but that a young Andrew Cuomo who was running his dad's campaign was the guy who architected that. Let's play Cynthia Nixon responding to this morning. She's obviously going to talk about her own sort of connections with Jewish identity and, you know, just sort of respond to the smears put out against her.
I was appalled. I was really angry. I am the mother of Jewish children whose grandparents narrowly survived the Holocaust and had a lot of family who actually didn't survive. The idea that they would accuse me of being soft on anti-Semitism is an outrage. We belong to a temple. We were at services last night. My kids were both bar mitzvahed. It's really, as the New York Times says, this is dirty, sleazy politics at its worst. And yes, the New York State Democratic Committee has a lot to answer for, and it would be really good. This was not a mistake. A lot of people actually had to approve of this and get it together and sign off on it and create it and mail it out. But I think the idea that Andrew Cuomo didn't know that it was happening is completely bogus. And I think he actually owes an apology, not just to say it was unfortunate or a mistake or inappropriate, but it's factually wrong. It's a smear, and it's a really nasty smear at a time when anti-Semitism is on the rise. This is fear-mongering for political gain at its worst, and it's completely untrue, and I'm very angry about it.
And we start seeing, obviously this has been the most potent thing that they've found with Jeremy Corbyn in the UK. And this weaponization of obviously one of the most, not only serious issues today, but historically anti-Semitism is one of the most serious, dangerous, evil, and murderous forces on the planet. The equation of anti-Semitism with any form of valid political criticism or moral action against the state of Israel, a far-right ethno-state, is not only cynical, disingenuous, and wrong, it's also going to be a dividing line of parties, whether it's the Democratic Party or Labor, because this new wave of people getting involved in politics with left values, they're not going to check their values at the door when it comes to the Middle East. And if they oppose racism, they oppose oppression, and they oppose two-tiered systems of justice here or in Saudi Arabia or in Brazil or in France, they're going to oppose it in Israel-Palestine. And therefore, by definition, they are going to be strong critics of the present state of Israel.
Yeah, and she has not even come out in support of BDS, right?
No, she opposed that, and she opposed the bill, I believe.
She just doesn't want people to be penalized
right.
who do support BDS for expressing their freedom of speech.
Exactly. And I think she's also made some, gentle, modest, and basic criticisms of Israel, which is actually one of the reasons right out of the gate that I supported her, because to me it was like, actually, yes. Right, exactly. I was like, I think I have some reservations about her, but I could see the sort of strong anti-Jewish thrust. I looked at Sam's face and I thought, I'm going to vote for Cynthia Nixon. I can't take this.
I saw Michael seeing Cynthia Nixon do a speech, and he had that secret message received.
Yeah, I was just like, she was just like, and I don't think that state businesses should be threatened because of their own private decisions. And I was just like, I was like, I got you, Sex and the City lady.
Well, what if we do a little counter propaganda citing the signs of the past? You ready for this, guys? Vote for the homo, not for Cuomo.
Whoa,
Actually,
nice.
Turn that on its head there.
That should have been the motto. From
Damn, we
day one.
really let that one sit up there.
Yeah,
for a while.
I mean,
nice
first,
job, Jamie.
Y'all can have that one for free.
I mean, it's their fault for anybody involved in the campaign not thinking of that, but we did sit on that too long. That is so obvious. Oh my God, vote for the homo, not Cuomo.
Would have been the perfect motto, because
that would have been such a good motto.
If you're gonna cause a scandal, you want it to point to something that's advantageous for you to talk about.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's beautiful, and it also shows a sense of humor, and it also reminds the double register of historics. Yeah. I think she would be the first woman governor of New York State, if I'm not mistaken. She would definitely be the first lesbian governor.
I think she's bi.
But vote for the bi.
Yeah, vote for the bi, not the Cuomo.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
as
we're
well.
doing
Vote
homo
for the
on
bi,
that one.
not the guy.
It
Vote for
fits
the
on the
bi.
sign.
Vote for the bi, not the guy.
We could do more than one sign.
Jesus Christ, we're only getting to this with like 3
should've
days
had
before
our
the
own
election.
shop. Yeah,
we should have
we need
set
to
up
do this.
Yeah, we need to set up a political consulting firm is what we
LR
need to do.
Consults.
We just had to wait until I was very hungover, and it just popped into my head.
I like vote for the bi, not the guy. That's so tenuous. All right.
I'm into it.
Speaking of homos.